Good morning, good afternoon, good day. Welcome to my tutorial on how to set up and use Q market breadth studies. I'm sorry for a delay in starting this YouTube live session. My desktop had some issues and I'm now using my laptop. I took a while to set up my laptop with the additional monitors. I hope you are able to see my screen and hear me. If so, you may let me know using the live chat panel. I'll continue. Disclaimer, I am not an investment advisor. This demonstration is for educational purposes only. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. These are the Q systems I use in my live trading, but I am not going to focus on all these systems today. I'm going to focus on an addendum to Q Global, that is Q Market Breadth Studies. It requires Q Global and it runs on MetaStock platform. In addition to MetaStock, it needs Fire 2.0. That is an add-on from MetaStock. I use that as aggregator. Some background why I started sharing the market breadth studies. Understanding market breadth is key to knowing what exactly is going on in the market, something that is not visible from studying the market futures or ETFs. Market futures and ETFs, they do a good job in showing what the major indices are doing or major futures are doing. However, it doesn't talk about the broad market strength in terms of how many stocks are actually going up or how much volume is there for the stocks that are going up. That is available in the market breadth studies. They provide a more comprehensive and easy to use view of market internals. The internals meaning the new high-low, advanced decline and up-down volume. These internals are available on the market composites, that is NASDAQ composite and NYSE composite. They are also available in Q market breadth studies on the major market indices. What are the major market indices that we use in Q market breadth studies? They are Dow Jones Industrials, NASDAQ 100, S&P 500 as well as S&P 1500. Other than the internals, the market breadth studies also include custom indices. For now, I am using the mega cap top 20 indices. They show us how the major mega cap stocks are doing, and if they start to roll over, that may be a warning sign that the whole market is going to roll over if they have not done already. As I mentioned, these studies run on Q Global on MetaStock and it uses Fire 2.0 as an aggregator. The aggregator is required to calculate the number of stocks in the major indices that are going up and also the volume with which they are going up. These market-based studies are not part of the general Q Global release. They are offered as an addendum to Q Global. That was the last slide. Let me now continue with the demonstration how to set Q market breadth. and then how to run it. First, how to download the different components. Once you visit www.sagarnandi.com, that is my site, you may click this download button that will take you to your personalized download page. You may have to log in. Here I have already logged in, and you will find these two components that are required for Q Global Market Breadth Studies. Firstly, the Q Global itself, and then the Q Global Market Breadth addendum. You may download both of them by clicking on the links. I have downloaded them in my download folder. Now I am going to remove the existing components from Q Global first and then install the latest components that I downloaded here. For removing the existing components, I am going to MetaStock and following a number of steps that are also described on my website. These steps are described. If you go to sagarnandi.com, go to Q install. Under Q install, go to Q global install. Then you will find this topic, removing older components before installing a new version of Q global. I am going to follow the steps mentioned in this topic to remove the older components of Q global first. First, I am going to remove the Q indicators, selecting the first one and scrolling down to the last one, pressing pressing shift click to select all of them, all the indicators that start with prefix Q, all of them I selected. Then I click the delete button that is going to delete all the Q indicators. Close. Going to tools, expert advisor. Again, selecting the first one, click on the first one starting with prefix Q, scroll down, select everything that has Q in it, click the delete button, deleted, close, go to tools again and explorer. Okay, it is giving some error, no problem. You may not need to delete the explorers because there is no change in the explorers. So what I did, I deleted the older indicators and the expert advisors. Now I am going to go back to my downloaded files, double click on the zip file for Q Global. Because I already had Q Global running on my laptop, I don't have to go through all the steps. I have to only run these two exe files one by one. First, I have to run the QEXE, the Q Global setup file for MetaStock 17.5, and then I will run the second exe file. They will install the indicators, expert advisors, and they will override the explorers as well. So I double clicked on the first file, click OK on the message. When it prompts, click override. It has installed all the Q Global components now. Now I'm going to run the second exe. The second exe allows us to edit some of the market specific settings. For example, if you are trading in non-USA market, when you run this, you are able to change the benchmark symbol from S&P 500 to something else. For example, for Australia, you might set it to AXJO, for China, CSI 300, for India, Nifty 50, etc. Running the second exe allows us to edit those market specific values. Benchmark symbol, the session start end times, and you may also edit the scan parameters, like what is liquid stock. Is it minimum 500,000 shares, which may be appropriate for the USA market, whereas for the India market you may set it to lower value, let's say 100,000 shares per day. Those are all set using the market specific setup indicators. More useful if you are using the Q Global system for non-USA market. In any case, I am going to run that also. These are the three editable indicators in Q Global where you may set the benchmark symbol. By default, it is S&P 500. You may set the scan setting, which defines what is meant by liquid stocks, and session setting, that is the regular session start and end times. Those also vary from market to market. By default, it is set to USA market, that is Eastern Standard Time, New York Times, 9:30 a.m. market starts and 4 p.m. market ends. Those are the default settings. You may use these three editable indicators, and these are the only three editable indicators in Q Global to change your setting to other global markets. For example, by default, the Q Global is shipped with trading settings for the USA market. So I'm going to override the existing indicators. Now Q Global has been installed. Let me close this. Next step is to install the Q Global Market Breadth. For that, you need to simply copy these layouts, the market breadth layouts, copy files to clipboard. I selected all of them and right clicked and copy files to clipboard. Then go to your documents folder, MetaStock, and paste them. Replace the existing files. I missed one thing. Before installing Q Global, I should have deleted all the existing templates also. So let me repeat that. Sorry about that. I'm going to delete everything from MetaStock folder, documents MetaStock, anything that started with name Q. And because I missed that step, I have to go back to my downloaded files and run Q Global setup once more. Sorry about that. I mistook that part. Going to run Q Global installation again. It will take a minute or so. Override. Q Global is installed. I'm going to now run the market specific settings indicators, override. That is done. I'm going to close this, open the market breadth specific archive file, copy the layouts by selecting them, right click and copy files to clipboard. Go to documents, MetaStock, right click and paste here. Now you have full Q Global as well as the market breadth specific layouts. Other than the layouts, in the market breadth archive file, there is a text file with a Dropbox address. That address has all the MetaStock data folders populated up to a certain date. So I'm going to copy this address, go to my browser, paste the address and visit that page. That will go to Dropbox and I will download the MetaStock data file from there. I don't need to log in. I want to download this. Yes, here. You may click here and direct download. Depending on the computer internet speed, it may take a while. It's downloading quite fast. Let's give it a few seconds. Done. Let's open the folder location, or we could open the file also. Let's open the file, MetaStock data archive file. Now we are going to copy this into C colon. So I'm going to go to C drive. There was an earlier MetaStock data folder. So I'm going to simply rename it with today's date. What is today's date? 15th December. I may delete it later after everything is working fine. So now there is no MetaStock data folder. I'm going to my archive file, drag the MetaStock data folder and drop it on C drive. Didn't get that. Let me do that again. Drag it and drop it onto C colon. It has got the MetaStock data folder. This MetaStock data folder is where all the raw data is downloaded. What are the raw data? Raw data for NASDAQ 100, S&P 500, S&P 1500 and Dow Jones. These are the major market indices for which we are calculating internals. For that we need the raw data. So these folders contain the raw data of the constituent stocks for the major indices. For those in the India market, I have created a Nifty 500 major market index as well. Then we have a folder for the Mega Cap Top 20. This folder is containing all the constituent stocks data for top 20 mega cap stocks in the USA market, and similarly another one for the India market. If you are not trading in the India market, you may not need that, but no harm keeping it there. Then we have another folder for the composite. This contains some pre-calculated NYSE and NASDAQ composite information. They are downloaded. Everything in this MetaStock data folder, the ones that I highlighted so far, they are downloaded. Composite has downloaded information from MetaStock. This does not need FIRE, whereas to calculate the internals for Dow Jones, NASDAQ 100, S&P 500 and S&P 1500, we need FIRE. For composite, we don't need FIRE, we just need to download the data. Those are the ones that are having downloaded raw data. And then we have a folder with breadth indicators. These contain all the aggregated data calculated by FIRE, like new high low, advanced decline, up down volume. And there is another folder, custom indices. This contains the calculated custom indices for mega cap top 20 and India mega cap top 20. That is how these folders are organized. You may not need to know them. Certainly you don't need to remember them. All you need to do is get the MetaStock data folder from the downloaded file, downloaded from Dropbox, and put it into your C drive. What we have done so far, we have first gone to MetaStock, gone to indicator builder, deleted all the Q indicators, gone to expert advisor, deleted all the Q expert advisors. Then we visited documents, MetaStock folder, deleted all the files starting with Q or that has Q in it. Once we deleted these existing components, older components, we have gone to our downloaded archive files. First, the Q Global setup for MetaStock 17. There are two executables inside. I executed both of them. And after that, I went to Q Global Market Breadth. I took all the layouts from there, copied them into the documents MetaStock folder. Lastly, I took the MetaStock data folder that I downloaded from Dropbox, put it into C drive. If I already had any MetaStock data folder, I renamed it. I may delete it afterwards. Hi Harry. I see a comment from Harry that you are not, some people maybe, or maybe all of you are not able to see all my laptop. I am sorry about that. I set up the laptop in a hurry. The streaming resolution may not be covering the entire laptop. So I may have to redo this session again later once my desktop is set up. Please bear with me. Let me continue. I hope you can still follow along and use these steps to install on your machine, and also make sure that make sure that every day you are able to update the breadth indicators correctly. The installation part is done. Now we have to make sure that every day we download the data and run FIRE on it to aggregate the data, and then open the breadth indicators. How to download the data is to go to MetaStock, Tools, choose Downloader, or you may use the hotkeys Control D. Both will open the program Downloader. Downloader comes with MetaStock. Make sure that you have all the folders that I explained earlier, the ones that you need. You may not need the Nifty 500 if you are not trading in the India market, but make sure all the other folders are there. If some folder is not there, you may add them by clicking add. Okay, let me delete one first just to demonstrate. Let me delete NASDAQ 100. So when I ran downloader, I find that Dow Jones is there, S&P 1500 is there, S&P 500 is there, Composite is there, Mega Cap is there. Let me delete the Indian folders, India market folders, India Mega Cap Top 20 and Nifty 500. Let's say I don't need them, I don't trade in the India market. So I have all the folders for raw data except the NASDAQ 100. And if you see like this, something is missing, you may click add, go to C:*MetaStock, choose the folder that is missing, NASDAQ 100 in my case, and select folder that has added NASDAQ 100. Now every day after, let's say, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that is safe time after market closes. By that time everything should be available. You have everything checked by default. You have this all checked. Use current date is checked. So every day all you have to do is at or after 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, run downloader and click the download button. It will do an incremental download. So whatever data was downloaded so far, it will check if any more data is there. And because this MetaStock data folder that I downloaded from Dropbox, that was not as of today, so it is going to find some data. The downloader usually takes only a minute or so if you run it every day. I am using a somewhat outdated MetaStock data folder, so it may take a while longer. Let it complete the download. What it is doing is, it is looking into the constituent stocks of all of these folders, checking the data that is available in the MetaStock data folder, and if there is some more data that came in after the last data, then it is going to add the new data to those folders. If you want to learn more about downloader, how to create new folders, etc., then you may visit MetaStock site. They have training videos on downloader. I am just covering the aspects that are required for Q market breadth studies. If you want complete information on downloader, you may refer to MetaStock YouTube channel or their website. They have more complete documentation and training videos on that. Once the download is complete, we are going to run fire. I see 50% is complete. That is fine. Let's give it a few more minutes. While it is downloading, let me again point out, downloader is a program that comes with MetaStock. You may run it from inside MetaStock by choosing the program from tool menu, or you could run downloader as a program itself. You don't have to open MetaStock. You can see I have pinned downloader as a program to my start menu bar, so I may run downloader from here as well. Therefore, the three programs that we are using for Q market breadth studies, one of them is of course MetaStock, then downloader that always comes with MetaStock, and Fire is the add-on to MetaStock. We are using that as an aggregator. Downloader is downloading the data at the end of the day, and Fire is doing the aggregation, and then using Q Global Market Breadth Studies, we are viewing the aggregated data to see what is really going on under the hood. Almost done. Download is complete, and it has downloaded some data. That is fine, that is expected. I'm going to close downloader now. We have downloaded the data. Next step is to run Fire to do the aggregation. I clicked on Fire from my start menu. Let me close some of the things I don't need. Fire. The Fire program has the ability to calculate breadth indicators, that is the new high low, advanced decline, up down volume, plus others. For now I am just using advanced decline, up down volume, new high low, these three calculations. And Custom Indices has the ability to calculate custom indices based on a list of stocks. I am using that to calculate mega cap top 20 to see how they are moving. Every day after download is complete, you run both of these routines one by one, or you could go to tools and run both of them together. In tools, you can see I have selected breadth indicators and custom indices both. Therefore, when I click the calculate button, it will process both. However, before that, you notice the date field. This has to be updated every day you are running Fire for aggregating the data. The last market close was on 14th December, so I am choosing 14th December here. For custom indices also I am choosing 14th December. So every day you remember to change this date. It doesn't change automatically to the current date like downloader does. I think MetaStock is going to make it easier in the later releases. It will probably automatically pick up the current date from the computer, but for now we have to choose it manually every day. The time periods defines for how many days it will calculate the breadth indicators, or if you go to custom indices, it is there in custom indices as well. I think 2000 is a good enough number. I am not selecting the required data on last date. Anyway, I am choosing the last date based on the market closing date, so it is fine. Doesn't need this checkbox. I did the same thing for breadth indicators. I didn't check the required data on last date. Anyway, I am choosing the last date carefully based on when the market closed. Now for breadth indicators, the batch calculations checkbox is on and we have all the calculations here. First time when you install Fire, there will be many calculations here that you do not need. Do not need for the current version of Q Global Market Breadth Studies. So you may delete the unnecessary ones to improve processing speed. Which ones to keep? Let me show you the drop down. These are the only ones that you need to keep. In your default installation, you will find many more than this. You may pause this video, keep only these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 studies and remove everything else. If you keep everything, that is also fine. It is only take a while more to do the processing. It will not affect the studies in any other way. It will just take more time to process. It will process things that we don't need right now. At the bottom for breadth indicators, there are two sections. One is folders, one is lists. We don't need anything in folders. So if you go to folders and in your installation, you see a number of folders there. You may select them, click on them to select them and click the remove button to remove the folder. What I have observed that if you keep the same thing in folders as well as lists, it does the processing 2 times. So as I learned more about Fire, I removed from the folders and I kept the lists only. What are the lists I am keeping? Let's say I am trading only in the USA market. So I am deselecting Nifty 500. I am only keeping Dow Jones, Nasdaq 100, S&P 500 and S&P 1500. Now my breadth indicators calculation setting is complete. What it is going to do, it is going to look at all these lists, look at their underlying constituents. Data has already been downloaded. It is going to run all these aggregate calculations on each of these lists or folders in MetaStock data folder. Here they are called lists. Going to calculate aggregate values and store them in the breadth indicators folder, again under MetaStock data. You do not need to know all these things probably. You just need to select the lists and click on calculate. Let me come to custom indices now. In custom indices, I mentioned I'm selecting the date based on when the market closed last. Let me set it to 2000. That is large enough data set. And here at the bottom, instead of choosing from lists, I'm choosing from folders. And if I didn't have the folders, let me remove all. If you don't see the folder on which you are going to calculate custom indices, like my case now, I removed everything. Click the add button, go to C colon MetaStock data and choose the folder. So in my case, I'm going to calculate composite, not composite, custom index for mega cap top 20. So I'm selecting that folder, highlighting and click select folder. That will add the folder. Now I'm going to click calculate. Remember, downloader already downloaded the data. So I'm clicking the calculate and it is pretty fast. Why it is so fast? Because it is only needing to look at 20 stocks. So it is quite fast. In a few seconds it is complete. Now if I go and open mega cap top 20 custom index from Q Global, it will show the up-to-date data. I am going to look at that. Before that, let me run the breadth indicators. It will take a while because it is going to go through a lot of data for many days and then aggregate them and save them in the folder. We don't need to know where it is saved, but we just need to know that it's calculating everything properly or not. I'm going to click calculate, and then I want to explain one thing. Where are these lists coming from? And if you don't have a list here, how to add it? I will explain that after I click the calculate button so that it can continue processing. So I click the calculate button, it is calculating all the breadth indicators, and now I'm going to explain where are these lists coming from. For the folders, you already know where they are coming from. The folders are coming from MetaStock data. The lists are coming from MetaStock. So I am back to MetaStock, click on Power Console. Click again. This laptop is a bit slow, and I'm running fire calculation also. That's also taking time. The streaming is also taking bandwidth and processing power. Why is it not opening Power Console? Okay, it's not opening Power Console. Let me close MetaStock and open it again. Okay, it's saying MetaStock is already running. So I'm going to kill the process. I went to Task Manager, choose MS Win, click on that, by clicking on that, end task. That has terminated the MetaStock process, and I'm going to run it again. Sometimes it may happen not only with MetaStock, with any Windows program. If it gets stuck, we may have to go to Task Manager by pressing Control Shift, no, not Shift, sorry, Control Alt Delete. That's what I did. Press Control Alt Delete. Choose the program that is not responding and terminate it by clicking End Process. I did that. Now I'm running MetaStock again. I want to be able to open Power Console so I can show where these lists are coming from. Let's see if I can open Power Console now. Yes. Now I'm going to explain where the lists are coming from. The lists are coming from here, local data lists. What if you don't have one of those local data lists? They are created from the downloaded data folders. So if we didn't have some, let's say I delete Dow Jones Industrials. Now I don't have Dow Jones Industrials as a local data list. How to create it? Click on local data lists, right click, choose new, click on browse, click on browse again. Under C:*MetaStock data, locate the folder Dow Jones Industrials and select folder. Now click add, click save. Now Dow Jones Industrials is back. These are the local data lists that are used by the breadth indicators calculation. If you don't see any of them, you may add them again by selecting local data lists, right click and click new, browse, browse again, choose the folder you want, click select folder. I'm cancelling for now. Click add. I am not adding, cancelling for now because I have already added, and that will add the local data list. Because these lists are used by breadth calculation, make sure that you have this list set up in Q Global or MetaStock before you run Fire. You probably, all of you, those who are using Q Global Market Breadth, probably have all of this set up because I helped install in all of your computers. If you see something is not there, maybe something got deleted somehow, you know now how to add it here. And remember to make sure all the lists are here before you run Fire. If you don't do that, when you come to Fire here, you will see some list is missing. So make sure you add it to MetaStock first and then close Fire, reopen again. It will show all the list. Select the ones on which you want to do the calculation and click the calculate button. And you can see it is taking a while on the desktop. It will take less time, but that is fine because I am doing it after market hours. While it is doing the calculation, let me show you the custom indices because that processing was already done. How to now open the market breadth studies. That is what I am going to explain next. What we have done so far, we have removed older components of Q Global. We have reinstalled Q Global. Then we copied the Q Global Market Breadth layouts into MetaStock data into MetaStock documents folder. We downloaded the MetaStock data folder from Dropbox, copied to C drive. We downloaded the data by running downloader, and then we are running Fire to do custom indices calculation and market breadth studies calculation. For custom index, we have already completed the calculation. To open the studies, go to File and click Open so that we can locate the layout and open it, or you may use the hotkeys as I do Ctrl O. So from MetaStock, press Ctrl O. It will show all the market breadth studies. I am not opening the major indices because the market breadth calculation is still going on. Instead, I am just opening mega cap top 20 first. That is going to open the mega cap top 20 custom index using the default weekly daily template, the at a glance template, and you may hover, place your cursor on the last day on the daily interval to make sure that the data has been downloaded and calculated properly. And as you can see from the pop-up, the last date is 14th December, so it indeed calculated custom index properly. Custom index helps us see whether the mega caps are rolling over. As we can see, it is not rolling over yet, it is just moving sideways, and because the market is going up, it is therefore relatively weaker than the market. There are multiple trend line supports. If those are broken by the mega cap top 20, then the bulls may be extra cautious. That they are moving sideways now may also be a reason for concern. They are moving sideways while the market is going up. That's a concern. But if they are breaking below the trend line support, that will be a bigger concern. For now, it is telling us to avoid mega caps and maybe trade other stocks. I'm going to close this layout by going to File and selecting Close All. Close All. Now I'm going to open the market-based studies for composite indices. Remember, I mentioned the composite indices studies, that is NASDAQ and NYSE composite, they don't need FIRE, they just need downloaded data. Because download is complete, I am able to open them. So I'm opening composite indices daily. It is going to open the NASDAQ and NYSE composite daily charts. Again, hover the cursor on the last day to make sure the last day's data has come. Yes, 14th December, and look up to make sure that the studies are not flat from previous day to this day, previous day to the last day. If they are not flat, that will show that the new high low, advanced decline, up down volume are calculated properly. What we can see from here is in the daily interval, new high low is pretty bullish for NASDAQ NYSE. Advanced decline is moving normally in up down fashion for both NASDAQ and NYSE. If we look specifically on yesterday's data, we can see a vertical line has come in NYSE. That means it has hit this threshold. Whereas NASDAQ didn't do that, showing that NYSE was weaker yesterday. We may read that from the vertical line, or we may simply look at the plot to see that yes, certainly NASDAQ was stronger yesterday because NASDAQ up down volume actually went up and NYSE up down volume went down. For advanced decline, NYSE went down, NASDAQ was almost unchanged. For new high low, both are pretty bullish. Now for market breadth studies, the daily interval is nice to look at. You may find that there was a bearish headwind in NYSE composite few days ago, then a bear release signal, then a series of indecisive candles. Yesterday it was weaker with bearish flow. You can get all that information to see whether divergence is there between the internals and the indices. You may look at the weekly interval. Usually major drops happen when in the weekly interval there is divergence or the studies are turning negative. When I open the weekly interval for NASDAQ NYSE composite indices, and you may recognize the interval from the colors. For the weekly interval, I am using cyan magenta color scheme. For daily interval, green red color scheme. In the weekly interval, new high low is pretty bullish. Advanced decline up down volume is also not showing any divergence. We can see that clearly NYSE is weaker. NYSE also displayed multiple bearish headwinds earlier. Now it came to that level, the watermark created by that level, and probably creating a false upside breakout. However, there is a trend line support. If that trend line support is broken, then we'll be more cautious. Nasdaq is creating doji candles for 2 weeks now. There is a trend line support quite some distance away. It may pull back, but that support will not be easy to break. Usually the memory trend lines are not broken easily on one day or for weekly interval in 1 week. When we look at these weekly composite indices, it is not showing divergence or weakness in terms of internals. That is what I tweeted yesterday, or maybe my morning here, your night time yesterday, I think so, on Twitter, that market breadth studies are not showing any weakness to be bearish. That is from composite indices, and as I mentioned, they don't need fire. Now fire calculation is complete for the major market indices. Let me open those studies. Press Ctrl O, major indices, daily. That will open the composite, not composite, sorry. That will open the major indices with internal studies. And these internals are calculated by fire. Again, hover your cursor on the last bar to make sure last date has come, yes, 14th December, and that the internal studies, new, high, low, advanced decline, up, down, volume is not flat over last few days. If it is flat, that means fire didn't calculate properly. Why sometimes you may see flat is because sometimes we may forget to change the date in fire. If we forget to change this date in fire to the latest date, then the breadth indicators will not calculate and the study here will show as flat for last few days. Same is true for breadth indicators as well as custom indices. If you change the date, remember to change the date to the last closing date, then you will see that at the edge the plots are not flat. At least some of them or all of them will change. So here I can see that Dow Jones Industrials new high low is not showing any bearishness. Advanced decline, normal up down move, up down volume, so far normal up down move. You may study the same for the other major indices. You can see for NASDAQ 100 it is stronger. Yesterday everything was stronger. You may do the same study for S&P 500 has a trend line support. New high low is strong. Advanced decline, up down volume tilted down, but that is normal move. And then do the same study for S&P 1500. As I mentioned for the composite indices, for major indices also, the turning points will be usually preceded by divergence or bearish plots on the weekly interval. So I'm going to open the major indices weekly. You may study the daily also, but daily will be too noisy. Up down moves. It will be difficult to make sense from the daily interval. They are there for you to study, but the turning points may be shown more by the weekly study. So I already showed the major indices, sorry, not major, I already showed the composite indices weekly. They didn't have any bearishness. Now I'm going to show the major indices, that is Dow Jones, NASDAQ, S&P 500, 1500 weekly. Once again, from the color scheme, you know it is weekly. I'm opening them using the weekly interval, and I already saw the data has been calculated successfully for daily interval, so I don't need to check that again. Here I am looking at the major index Dow Jones Industrials and studying their internal studies, and always at the top we have the Q thrust and jump. Currently I am not looking at them. However, you may look for extreme readings, red values or divergence. They are not calculated by fire, not downloaded data. They are calculated by Q Global. They are already set up on your computers, so those will come properly. I am not focusing on them now, focusing on the internal studies. Dow Jones didn't have new high low positive for a while, but again that started becoming positive, and the advanced decline up down volume is also not showing any bearishness. You may study the other major indices in a similar way. S&P 500, I am using Control Tab to shift between the different indices. Control Tab, and if you press Control Shift Tab, it will go back to the previous one. This is S&P 500, S&P 1500 and NASDAQ. NASDAQ is the strongest of them. We saw that from NASDAQ Composite also, and now we can see that from NASDAQ 100. When both the NASDAQ Composite and NASDAQ 100 are bullish, we have to say that tech stocks are outperforming. If only NASDAQ 100 was bullish but NASDAQ Composite was weak, then we could conclude that mega cap tech stocks are doing better, but overall Nasdaq is not so strong, or tech stack stocks are not so strong. That is not the case currently. As of yesterday, Composite as well as Nasdaq 100 both are strong, showing tech stocks are doing strong. And overall, when I look at the weekly as well as daily, but the true meaning may come out from the weekly plots. The weekly composite indices as well as major indices are not showing any weakness, not weakness enough to be bearish. It is just normal up down move, and the mega cap top 20 are moving sideways. That is showing relative weakness but no bearishness. That is how you install the Q Global Market Breadth first, and then download the data using downloader. After data is downloaded, you run fire, once for custom indices, once for breadth indicators on the major indices. Once the calculation is done, you go to MetaStock file, open, and open the layouts one by one and make sense of what is really going on under the hood. I covered everything related to the installation, setup, and then updating market breadth studies every day using downloader and fire. As Harry mentioned, you might not be able to see my entire screen because of the resolution settings on the streaming program. Sorry about that. I set up the laptop in a hurry with the external monitor. Everything was not perfect. If this video is not useful enough, I may have to do this session once again, but I hope you can follow along with the current video. That is all that I wanted to share in today's session. Thank you for attending. I hope you make good use of the market breadth studies. They are not only I will say they are extremely useful in deciding, in knowing with a high degree of probability when the market is really going to turn down. Usually, most of the cases, a market turning down will be preceded by some kind of bearish indication in the market internals and market breadth studies, and you have access to that. I'm sure you will be able to make good use of them. Thank you once again for attending. I look forward to seeing you in our next session, which will be Wednesday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the regular Wednesday live market meet. You have a great week. Take care and trade profitably. Thank you.